welcome to. I don't know if I would call this an interesting review, but I just went and saw The Bride. And. Okay. I don't know how to phrase this story, which is that at the beginning of the year, I wrote down a list of all the movies that I wanted to see in movie theaters. And this was not on the list. And then I think basically every movie that I've seen this year so far, I watched a trailer for The Bride, with the exception of, I think, the first time I saw Iron Lung. I didn't see a trailer for The Bride, but everything else, I've seen a trailer for The Bride. And after watching Scream 7, I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. Because the vibes that I got were like Bonnie and Clyde meet Frankenstein. And I love Bonnie and Clyde. It's like one of my most favorite movies ever. I watched it in college and I absolutely loved it. Like, this movie is great and I loved it. And so that's what I sort of went in watching. And instead, I kind of got more of Joker meets Frankenstein. It was a weird movie. This movie was weird, and there were some weird bits that I liked and some weird bits that I was not here for. It started off weird, which kind of threw me in for the loop at the beginning, because it opens up with like the ghost of Mary Shelley possessing Ida and then like basically getting these guys to kill her so that she can become the bride, and then like constantly like keeps messing with Ida throughout the film to sort of like get her to become, I don't know, essentially stand up for herself a little bit more, which is great, but it started off really weird in that sense. I was like, what is happening? Like, it shows up and she's like, Mary Shelley died in 1818 or whatever it was, and I was like, what the fuck did I just get myself into? So it started off strange, and there were I mean that was honestly the strangest bit of it. Everything else was like, I don't know, with some exceptions everything else seemed, normal isn't the right phrase, but it's like it very much like took bits and pieces from different stories and combined it together. Like, there definitely was a huge influence from Bonnie and Clyde, from like the way that the film ended to like, I wouldn't necessarily say from like the beginning of their relationship, like Frank and I'm just gonna say Ida, like she goes by Penelope and Ida, but I'm just gonna say Ida. Frank and Ida's relationship, it's not exactly the same, but it's definitely like the runaway murdering lovers. It definitely had a theme towards Bonnie and Clyde, but then it also like took inspiration from other things. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal's character was clearly supposed to be a take on Fred Astaire, and the use of the sort of mob in this, and along with, you could kind of interpret the ending as well, is definitely supposed to be a take on Scarface, like the original Scarface, and I definitely saw that as well. But then when they brought in the woman's movement of like standing up to shitty men, with like women starting to don the like lipstick and like face blotch that Ida has, it felt more like Joker in that stance, with like everyone starting to like do clown makeup and Joker and sort of like run around essentially causing anarchy, and it definitely had that same sense as well. It was like a huge combination of a bunch of different movies, and I don't know, I guess Joker was not one that I was expecting out of those, so I thought it was just a little bit odd, and it was fine. Like, this movie was fine. It was odd. I sort of knew that it probably wasn't gonna be my thing. Like, if it had been like Bonnie and Clyde meets Bride of Frankenstein, sure, that would have been great, but it added in plots here and there that I wasn't the biggest fan of, and I definitely, like, I honestly didn't like the relationship between Ida and Frank, because, I mean, I guess in a way, like, this is a movie about Ida. They're very on the nose with it being a Me Too movement movie. Like, they're not subtle about it at all, and in a way, I've just felt that when it was revealed that Frank was lying to her the whole time, I kind of thought that she would have a bigger reaction to it, other than just sort of general disappointment in him. like, I thought it was interesting that that's, like, the only reaction she truly had, where she just had general disappointment, and then she talked about leaving him, but then she never actually did. And then later on, she essentially agrees to not marry him. It felt kind of like the breakup scene from Stranger Things, except instead of, I don't know, like, breaking up, she was just kind of like, I want to be in a relationship with you, but I don't want to marry you because I want to be, like, the bride. I don't want to be the bride of anything. So I thought that was really interesting, and it just sort of reminded me of that for some weird reason. But it's just, I felt like her, because, like, once I got to a certain part in the film, I was like, oh, when she finds out that Frank's been lying to her the whole time, she's gonna be pissed. And then she generally wasn't. Like, she still left with Frank, even though I think that if, I don't remember his name, but if the detective sort of, like, offered to take her with him, she could have gone, but she didn't. But then again, it's like, we find out that he's also just a shitty guy. It's kind of interesting. Like, you watch this guy and you're like, maybe he's not like all men, and then it's like, nope, he is like all men. All cops are bastards. Except for Penelope Cruz's character. I loved her. She was like, y'all can take all the time you need. Like, talking to the doctor, she's like, y'all can take all the time you need. She's like, I don't give a shit about anybody anymore. I loved Penelope Cruz in this movie. I thought she was absolutely wonderful. I kind of wish, and this is weird, but I kind of wish that Jake Gyllenhaal had played more of, like, an asshole actor. Instead, he's just kind of, like, weirded out by Frank, which makes sense. You're like, this guy who is the epitome of a walking corpse comes up to me and tells me that I'm the reason he's still alive. Be like, okay, and then just turn around. But I honestly kind of wish he had been a bit more of an asshole to Frank. It's a weird thing to say, but it's true. Like, I don't know. I just thought that, like, they used Jake Gyllenhaal's character in a very interesting way, where it's like Frank imagines himself as Jake Gyllenhaal's character, but then he talks about how he possibly might have met Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and you're like, we know that Frankenstein is over 100 years old, but, like, did he? Or is it all in his head? Like, it's like, is he so desperate for companionship that he's, like, maladaptive daydreaming his way into meeting his, I guess, film idol before he ever actually did, and just thinks that he did? And in a way, in that sense, going back to Joker, it's kind of the same way, where it's like Joker, like, Arthur comes up with the thought of him being in this relationship with this woman, and then it's revealed that he never actually was in a relationship with that woman. And I don't, it's definitely not the same in this movie, but I felt like I had to compare them, because once we got to, like, the feminist anarchy movement that was occurring in the film, I was like, so this is just Joker, and I couldn't unsee it. And that was definitely something that, like, made me think about it, which is that, like, is what Frank talks about actually real, or was he just so lonely that he watched these movies? He clearly imagines himself in these movies, but did he just watch these movies and imagine these things and then think that they're real? And it's, like, something to think about. I feel like this movie broke my brain a little bit. But I mean, I guess in a good way, it's a good film for that, but I was just so weirded out by this movie in a lot of sense. I don't know. I mean, I like weird movies, but I don't think this is my type of weird. I don't know. It's odd to say. I mean, I think it's just, like, a term of, I was not excited for this movie. I was just intrigued by it. I went in with seemingly no expectations, and it just started off so weird that I didn't know how else to process the rest of it. Like, I feel like this review is all over the place with, like, part of my own, like, interpretation of the film, but, like, it's just, I don't know. It also just felt like it went on for too long. This movie felt too long, and it's not even that long. It's a 2-hour long movie, but it definitely, like, I don't know. I felt like it was taking bits and pieces from different movies, as I've stated, and then combining it into one, and it felt like it didn't entirely work. And I think that the concept of Ida's character was there, being like essentially this woman who is treated like absolute shit during her life is essentially given a second chance to sort of seek revenge on the people who have wronged her. And you see that from like the beginning with like Frank, killing the guys that were trying to rape her, and then her like ripping the tongue out of that one cop, and like she does it over and over again where she's just like, nobody's good, everybody's bad. She does the whole speech where it's like she can obviously hear the dead thoughts of the essentially dead women and other men's lives that they've wronged or they've murdered or something like that. And there's definitely a concept there. Like, this movie is not subtle with its Me Too movement. Like, it definitely, like, the entire Me Too storyline is very front and center, where it's like she was a prostitute that essentially was screwed over. And in a way, like, honestly, because it's clear, like, Mary Shelley is the one that screwed her over. Mary Shelley was like, I'm gonna possess her to get her killed to start this story. But then you hear the story of her with a cop, where she wanted to help out with getting the gangster guy convicted, and then because the commissioner's been paid out, the investigation gets shut down, and then she's upset about it, and instead of him, like, actually doing anything about it, he just has sex with her and calls it a day. And I feel like, I mean, he sort of got his own justice in that sense, where it's like after she dies and he sees her again, he sort of realizes how much he's wronged her, and in a way that I think that's why he doesn't want her to die, is because he's like, no, she's thoroughly right in everything that she's doing. But I also feel like, I don't know, he needed to get punched in the face at least once. I mean, he got shot in the leg, so maybe there's that, but I was just like, I don't know, I just thought it was very interesting that it's like they kind of it was a slight, I wouldn't say it's a 180, but a slight curve, being like, oh, maybe he's not like other cops, and then it's like, no, he's exactly like other cops, he's a shitty guy. And I thought that was interesting, especially because like the conversation between him and Penelope Cruz's character, where it's like he's clearly not going to actually try and get Penelope Cruz's character to become a detective. Like, it's still bullshit. He's essentially using her to solve all of these cases, but then, like, I guess thanks to seeing Ida again, he sort of realizes that it's like, no, I can't take the credit or like use women in those ways. And then, he gives Penelope Cruz's character his badge, and she of course is just like, I'm the boss ass bitch now, and we're like, yes, let's go. But yeah, so there's that. Oh yeah, I forgot about the putting on the Ritz bit, which was so weird. Like, when it first started, I was just like, what the hell am I watching? Because all the other dance sequences are like, they're at that one club where it's like Frank imagining himself dancing like on screen, and then this bit happened and everyone else is joining, and I generally was like, is this in their heads? What's happening? But then like everybody else was looking around like it wasn't in their heads and it was actually happening, and I got a little bit confused. I thought it was interesting, but I was like, okay, that's a fun callback, like putting on the Ritz, like that's a fun callback. But it was just, I don't know, it was very interesting for that scene. So, and then of course Jake Gyllenhaal gets a gun put up to his head. Great. But yeah, so there was that, and then the end credits song was Monster Mash, which made me chuckle a little bit. I thought that was funny. But yeah, overall, I thought this movie, like I said, I thought this movie was fine. I liked the costume design. I thought the costume design was really cool. Like, I liked the 1930s gangster setting. I thought that was really cool. But it was kind of cool to, like, bring in sort of the gangster film style, but also bring in the, like, vaudeville style as well. I thought that was a really interesting combination in terms of a movie. Yeah, the effects were pretty good, I will state, because I kind of started to hyper focus on it a little bit, which was Ida's sort of black splotch that she has on her cheek kind of looked like a unicorn at one point, and I got very distracted. I was like, it looks like a unicorn. But yeah, I think those are all my thoughts. Let me know if you've seen The Bride and what you thought of it. Like I said, I think it was just down the middle. It was weird. Not really my jam. But it made my brain think a lot, so there's that. But yeah, let me know what you thought. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye.